All right, we're going to be checking out the 2021 Coachmen Galleria 24T. This is the lithium i3 unit. It has a lithium battery, give you better power type of living. So if we come down on the passenger driver side here, we have our outside water closet. This closet, when closed, is just a regular latch with the CH751. Close it, make sure you have this little piece upward, and then you can go ahead and lock it. So in this compartment here, we have a macerator pump switch, which you just push to use. We have our outside shower here. We have our satellite cable and our regular cable hooked up. We have our black tank flush, which we use to sanitize our black tank when we have emptied it. We have in here this one uses the Go Power charging unit. So if you wanted to get a standalone external solar panel, you can leave that out and help gather more power. We also have a tank fill and our city water connection. So to put our city water into the unit, we just go ahead and hook our garden hose to this and allow pressure from our source, which is external, to give us some water inside to the whole unit. That includes to our toilet and our shower and our kitchen sink. We can also fill our fresh tank by simply pushing this blue valve to the upward position, and that will allow us to fill our fresh tank from here. The outside shower is this little spray nozzle and this quick connect. To install this quick connect, all we do is push this right on and in until it clips in. Now we have a shower hose. We also have hot and cold on this shower hose. To remove, simply push in, push back this black collar, and it will come right out. This here, normally you can store it in the back of the coach underneath the rear bed. Right now I'm just going to put it by the rear tire. So down here we have our macerator hose in. This here is clipped up so it doesn't drag on the road. You can undo the clip. Now this part here would be on here. So that stops any leakage or anything coming out. And this comes out, and you can place it right into your waste management area or your dump station. Normally you'll find a dump station that is at your borough or county for your waste management for your water systems, or you can also find it at the exit of your campgrounds as well. This hose just gets pushed right up on in, and then you take this strap around it like such. And then there's a little hoop on the back. Now if you're in a hurry, this is going to be a little cumbersome, so just have a little patience with it. Now that's hooked and back on. After a couple times of practice, I'm sure you'll get that first try. Underneath here we have our black valve. So when we're dumping our unit, we go ahead and pull on the black valve. The black valve, when all the way extended outward, will open up the valve for the toilet. That will allow all black water to this macerator pump. It will chew it up as it's pumping, so it will allow waste management of it to be easier and not a lot of big solids. After you're done dumping that, you'll see the hose starting to retract and no longer have a pulsation coming through the hose. You can hook up to your tank flush then, which is this black valve right here. After you do that, you turn on your water. I'll suggest getting a secondary hose for that, as to that the black tank flush doesn't really have a backflow preventer, so it could have a little septic water in it, and that's not great to have it flow back with a drinking hose. So to do that, you just get another hose, and that will take care of that. After you've run this for maybe about a minute or two, that'll clean out what's left in there, and make sure you have the macerator pump on, and you'll hear that audibly running. Once that's done, go ahead and close this black valve, and then you open up your gray valve. The gray valve is all the water waste that has come from your shower and from your kitchen sink and bathroom sink. And then, of course, keep on holding the macerator pump as that's coming out. Now, once it gets to a higher pitch, it normally means that it's starting to run dry. Make sure you don't hold that for too long, as you can damage the membranes of the macerator pump. All the way under here, we have two white valves. These are the low point valves for your unit, so that's all hot and cold side of the whole water system. So if you ever have to drain your water system, you can open those, and that will drain all the system out. So right here, this is our Truma Truma combi unit. This here is your exhaust and your intake for the unit. And then we have our short cord here. This short cord has a little L unit. This one has to correlate with this same unit here. You can push it on, turn slightly to the right, then lock on the locking collar. Like such. Now there is, it's a 30 amp cord, so it's going to have a 30 amp plug-in, which I'll show you what it looks like. So this 30 amp cord end needs to go into correlating style. You can get a 15 amp adapter, but then I would suggest not running the microwave or running the air conditioner, as they are both high loads. Now this air conditioner is a 12 volt AC, so it would be taking power from the inverter, which is also a high load, so try to keep that in mind. Now that I'm plugged in there, there is a little light that is on the 120 cord right here. So that's indicating that there is 120 coming into it. Here, that was kind of a little bad of a shot, kind of snuck that there. So there we go, that's illuminated. And right now it's still, can you unplug that just so we can give a, there we go, and that's unilluminated, meaning that we have no 120 into coach. You can go ahead and plug that back in. There we go. Now underneath this 120 cord is our propane filling area and switch that is located underneath this box. This box has a screw end on it, so go ahead and unscrew this. Now with this unit here, I'd recommend getting a good nailing pad, as to a lot of components are at a lower level. So this here is your bleed valve. You always want to make sure that's closed. This, you can take these tags off after you get home. All you need is just a pair of regular little cutters to cut this part here. This is your fill here. So this is a cap. You need to go to a certified filling station to get that filled. Now that's any place that sells propane in large quantities, or you can come back to Fretz RV for that filling. Also, you can go to any spot that has the large propane tanks out front. As you can, they are good at filling it as well. Next to that, we have a quick connect. This quick connect, you push down, put your quick connect end in, and then push this valve end in line with the hose. That will allow flow of propane through the system. Next to that, we have this red switch. This is your off and on switch for your propane system. So off is off, on is on. Now when you go get it filled, you want to turn that off, and then turn off your house batteries as well, as a static electric charge could ignite propane. You can go ahead and hook that up. Screw that back on. the coach here, we have our license plate, and then we have our bike rack and our handle. Now, it's kind of awkward with this bike rack here, so I would say give a hold of it so you don't forget about it. And then you can pull on the handle just so you don't bring this all the way into yourself, which I've done multiple times. It's just a habit. And then on the left-hand side here, there is a latch to let this one go out. Now, this door can go all the way around, and it will not hit itself. This one here has the bike rack, so don't do that. So I'm just gonna lock this in place just so I can show you the bike rack. So we can bring these arms upward, let them gently touch. Now these do hold a little water sometimes. These are aluminum frame, so they won't rust. To bring this part down, you have these black tabs, which are fairly tight, as you can see. Bring this end down gently. Once it comes, these ends touch. Firmly push down to lock these in place. Now these are locked in place. This won't lift up on you that easily without giving it force. You have these black turn knobs here. You turn these, and then the foot comes out. Then you can lock it in place. And then you can place your bike on it. These have the what I call the inline skate style straps, so you can push it up top and it releases it. Pull it down through the bike spoke to hold it in place. Reduce that a little bit just to make that look nice and tight. Then it's the same for the rear one. Once you get the bikes in, this is for your outer bike. You put this around your bike frame, same style latch here, and tighten it. Now if it's a little awkward, doesn't seem right, you can remove this end here, push the pin out, and put it in a different location if needed. This has a square end, so you know the square end has to go through, and then you can go ahead and put this little knob on, and that will hold it in a higher location. This little one is for the inside bike. There we are. And that will hold the one inside. Now I'd recommend having the bars over here and the bars over here, because you want to have them opposite of each other so they can match up properly. Now that that's done, I'm just going to lift this back up in place. Awesome. Alright, so on the back here we have our 7-leg plug on the end of the hitch, and our hitch here. Ask your salesman about the specifications of that, because I don't want to be wrong. I'm telling you the specifications of that. In the back here we have this little cable we can grab. This is our plug guard. Now make sure you don't have stuff in the way. I'm going to take this out because I'll show you that in a minute. You can bring this all the way down. You have 2 little handles. Firmly push down the handles. This little white edge will go below these little knobs here. These are what is holding it in place. Then when you're ready to bring it up, bring your thumb and lift that up. Hold it with one hand, hold this with the other. Once you get to the location, you can let it go all the way up. Now as far as the interior night shade, this is the interior night shade. You can bring all the way down once you make up the bed, which I can show you that in a few moments. I always recommend leaving this all the way up when in transit so you can see physically through the rearview mirror what's behind you. You can also take this, place that in that little cup so it's not knocking around in the back. That's your blind for the rear windows. I was thinking there's a little cover. Some of them have a cover for that. So I'm going to close this then. In this bag here, you have your window covers. So these are going to be for your front windows, and these are your side windows ones. These have magnets inside of them and these little round locations here. So these here all stick to the window frame, and you kind of just match them up. You always want to keep the white outside and the black inside, so the white reflects the light. So these are the two for the side windows. And then you have the large one here for the front window. And in the center, you have this little spot here with the Velcro. So you can put your rear view mirror in between that and then Velcro up the center. So you can have some nice and privacy. I'll put this back in the bag. Pause that there so you don't waste time. This cover, which covers everything, this is also Velcroed in place, so if you needed to remove it, you can do so. Now under this cover here, on the driver's side, we have our 16 amp hours Xantrex lithium batteries, which is a whole cell. And then on the right hand, on the passenger side, we have our Freedom 3012, which is our Xantrex inverter charger system. And then if we go around on this side here, we have our 120 outlets with our the GFI, so it's GFI protected. And then we have our entry door. So our entry door is automatic. Make sure you don't pull on it side to side unless it's in the manual mode, which I'll show you in just a moment. So it goes through a toll lock sequence. Also, we have our chrome tipped exhaust right here by our rear axle. We have some nice steps here going on. And then our passenger door here. Both side doors are controlled by these little controls, so the seat movements are used by this here to move it forward and backwards, even with the unit to the off position. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this once. That's going to open the door. At this entrance here, we have our screen door. Gently pull this all the way out. Now, it doesn't make a perfect seal here. That's normal. That's how the factory designed it. This here is just supposed to make up that large gap, but most plugs are going to stay out. And always grab it from this location here, even from the inside as well. You have your seat here. And we're going to come inside the unit. Inside the unit, I got everything off as of if you started camping. You have your Xantrex controller right here. I'm going to go ahead and push that. That's going to engage all power to the coach. So this is your main disconnect switch or your battery disconnect. Right now I can see that we're at 13.3 amps. And about now we're putting in, let's see when it levels off. So right now we got a plus, meaning that we're putting amps into the battery pack. So right now we have 148.2 amps going into the battery cell. Over here we have our solar disconnect. Make sure you turn this off when you have the Xantrex system off. So I'm going to turn that on. Now we are able to use our solar panels to start charging the battery bank system. And then we have our main 12-volt disconnect right here. We can push it up to use it, push it down to the store. So now I got that on. We have our motion lights, our ground effects, and our Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi Ranger has its own little button system here. This has our whole Wi-Fi part. So I'm gonna grab my phone, turn on the light. I'll show you how to turn on the lights in just a moment, but I want to show you this. Oops, this is working pretty good. This is our Wi-Fi Ranger codes and everything for you. And that's for your specific unit. Now to turn on everything, we have our main control panel here. So at the house here, it's 102 degrees in here, so don't mind me for a minute. I'm going to quickly turn this on to cool. The fan. Now, as you can hear, the fans are fairly loud on this unit, but that's the air conditioner. So I've just turned on your AC. As you can hear, it has a pretty good fan noise, but that's compensation that you do by having a 12-volt unit, meaning you'd be able to run it off grid as well. So as you can see right now, it's 100 degrees now. I've had it on for a couple minutes just because I was dying. So at this location here, we have our extend and retract for our awning. We have our lighting masters and stuff. We have our fresh tank, our gray tank, our black tank, and our propane. So you can see our propane's full, our fresh tank's at 80%. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the water pump. So the water pump is now primed. It's priming. Let's turn on the lights so we can see what we're doing, huh? So you'll see this one over here that looks like a light bulb. So I put that one there. We have our exterior, our front area, and our rear area, and our master on and off. So you can set your dimming and stuff with that. So if I want to set the ceiling a little bit more dim, I long hold the indication. Now you can see that it has dimmed the rear lighting there, and that's considered your front ceiling. So those four are your front ceiling. Right here, you have your dinette, which is all the way in the back. Your galley, which is right over the top of my head. Your cabinet LEDs, which are inside the cabinets. Oh, sorry. They're underneath the cabinets. So that lighting's right here.
It's pimp lighting.
We have our front cabinet, which is right here. The front mood light. We have our rear cabinets. Then we have our rear mood lights. And then we have our rear reading lights, which that gives full power to the reading lights. Now the reading lights in the back, you have to physically touch. So these are your rear reading lights. So you can touch it once to illuminate where you've touched. Then you have your reading lights. Touch it again for everything off. These also have USB outputs inside of them. And so while we're back here, this little guy here, this is the temperature that's going to be read on those gauges on the control panels. You have that main one there. And then let me grab that to show you the other one. The other one is right here. That's your secondary one that you can use from the back of your bed. Now your bed control, while we're up in this location, is right here. This is your switch to extend and lower your bed. So you can lower your bed all the way down and all the way up. Now keep in mind you don't want to do that when you have your table there. I'm messing up my whole routine, but it's all right. So this is your table. You have your cup holders you can put it in. You can tighten right here on these ratchet, so you can pull out to the position. So let's say I wanted it super tight, and I had a little company over here, so I didn't want to punch them in the knee. So I could pull back, pull out, and that. Excuse me. And then let's say it got a little too loose to where I'm pulling out and it's moving it. You can actually put your thumb on this and ratchet it. Once that's done, kind of give this a little wiggle and pull upwards to remove. And the same goes for this here. and then upwards and remove. So this here has a little track and a track located here. You can do it on either side. So you have one here and one on the opposite side right here. Now while we're looking down there, we have our LP detector. This here, you have a little tester, which is a little deafening. And then you have your fuse box. That's really loud. And it's green. So now that's CO2 and that's propane. You have your 120 breakers here. These are your 12-volt fuses. And to open that, you just go ahead, push in, let it drop out. To lock it in place, push in, and it will stay again. Now that I've moved this off of that location, we're going to put the bed down. So I'm going to put that all the way down. It's all the way down there. Move that out of the way. We'll lift that up out of the way there. This one up out of the way. So I'm going to lift up this here. You have these two panels. And also in here, we have our front bench holder for the front table. Also in here, we have our network system. So this here is our Wi-Fi from Netgear. And this is the Connex control unit, which does all of our systems. If you're tall like me, you're going to hit your head on the TV, so just be mindful of where you're placing your head. So you can move that out of the way. Just have a little tab here you can pull down on. And then we can just move that out of the way so I don't break it when I'm moving around the cabin. So now, as far as bed setup, we have these here. So these go in place in the center. We'll put this one over here for a moment. Grab this, put this back in place. I'll put this out the way for a moment. Then this one here goes in front of that. So I can go ahead and put both of these down, and now we have a really big size bed. Now these cushions are super comfortable, and I could comfortably sleep in this myself. This is a very nice unit. Then bedtime's over, so I just lift this back up, place that one out of the way, lift up these two tables, lift this up, now, then I can place these back in here. And I can take this and put this back in place. Now we have that out of the way. Now I'm going to look for the tabletop, so I'll be right back. Sounds like I'm yelling. I'm pretty much talking loudly, so we can talk over that AC since we're in an enclosed area. So now we have the end here. This end goes into the slot. And then you turn to the right until it gets tight. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. I totally missed it. Alright, so now that I put this in place, make sure that this is extended to this distance here where you can almost I got small fingers, so if you have larger fingers, it's going to be a little bit different. But if you can put your finger in between it, that's perfect. This end here goes right on in. I turn to the right, verify that it's underneath by pulling up on it slightly. Once that's done, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Now it's tight and it's secure. Next to that, we have our table. Our table sits in this bracket here. Then you have this little piece here. It sits in there. And then you bring this out like such. So you can have a nice little table. Let's see if these rotate. Alright, I'm going to show you how to rotate your front captain's chair. So I'm going to grab the camera and kind of talk at the same time. So first, we're going to look at our seat part here. I'm going to bring this seat forward a slight bit so that this backing won't hit this B pillar and scratch it up. Also, you want to make sure you keep this door open when doing so, as to you can scratch this pocket lining, and these are not cheap at all. So at the front of this, you have this little tab right here. I'm going to give that a pull. Once you give that a pull, you can go ahead. I give that a pull with my right, pull with my left hand here, give it a little push. That comes all the way around. Once it's all the way around, make sure you lock that in place. Then you can go ahead and close your passenger door and complete your key party. Now I'm going to rotate the other driver's side. Now I've opened up the door. Pushing the seat forward. So it's not going to save your settings, so keep that in mind. Once it's forward, I pull in the same style bracket. That's hitting, so I'm going to bring this back a little bit. There we are. I'll bring that a little bit more forward. So try to keep in mind this area and the back of the captain's chair as well. So when you close it, you don't damage any of your plastics. Now that that is done, you can go ahead and open this all the way up. You don't need to keep this. I'm just going to keep it for your sake. So this here will sit here, and when you close this, it has something to press on and doesn't really scratch it that much. But this unit here is a single pole unit, so just keep that in mind as well when you're eating and leaning on it, as it's not 100% stable, but it's stable enough to have a nice cup of tea or some cheese and crackers, or even use your laptop for business purposes. So put that here, and then you just lift to take this off. Lefty loosey. Once it's slightly loose enough, then you can easily lift this back up and out. That will go back underneath the bench. And then this here, make sure that the cone is facing forward and the ends here are facing upward. And that sits back in place there. And then you can easily sit like such. Now, if you need to have your captain's chair, I'm going to bring this back up forward, around. To engage your parking brake,
Oops.
engage your parking brake, lift up. Now that's a contradiction as you want to rotate this around, so you can just push this down without pushing the button. That leaves your parking brake engaged. sometimes it's a tight squeeze. Now on the ends of these chairs here also, you have a little squeezer, and that's your leg distance part, so you can adjust it if you need to. These arms on these units, when you bring them all the way up, you bring them all the way down, and then you can bring them up slightly. They have a ratchet, and they'll hold their position. So you can have different arm lengths and different rises for your comfort. You also have your headrest, which is just like any other car. Lift up, lift it up, pushing that button to let it down. These units do have airbags inside of this here. You have your you have your lumbars right here. And then all the other adjustments on the seat are on the door itself. Now that we got these seats covered and in this position, we'll be right back. All right, now that it's a little bit cooler, we're gonna fully go over this because now I have a little bit half of a brain. So the house gives you all these buttons here. So you have your house voltage here. You have your chassis voltage on the right. Your chassis voltage is your under the driver's floor battery for the motor side of the unit. The house is the battery system for this unit. You have your level sensors here and your water pump at your main screen. You have your master lights, you have your awnings, and you have your temperature control, so you can set your temperatures up and down. Next, you have your lighting page. This does all the lightings for your whole unit, which we've kind of gone over. You have your exterior porch light, which is actually interior. And then you have your awning light. The next screen is your climate control. Right now I got the cool on, but you turn it off and on at this unit. Your furnace and water heater is at the Trumer control, which I'll go over in a minute. This part here is your auto control and your fan control, like so. Then we have all of our options. You can get a mobile app for this. You can get your network diagnostics so you can check things. You have our temperature, so you can change it from Fahrenheit to Celsius. You have the floor plan, which is there. You have your screen brightness, which you can adjust. You have auto dimming, which will dim per the time on the unit, which you'll have to reset each time when you hit the battery disconnect as it loses memory. So, for time's sake, to set this time, just click it up. 6:27. There we go. Now the time's set on both this unit and the little screen that's down there. The screen the smaller screen does all the same options as this screen here. Now, to use your awning, all you have to do is push it once, make sure that you don't have things in the way, and your awning will go out. Now as the awning's going out, I have a unit that's close to it to stop it in that position. Once it gets a little bit closer, just hit retract once, and that will stop it in its location. To retract the awning, you can push it once, it'll come retract. And if you're just trying to bring it in just a little bit, you can do so by hitting the opposite way that you want. Now this unit is also equipped with a wind sensor. I'm gonna grab a stick and shake it, and you'll see it come back in automatically. Now let's shake a decent amount, and it will retract all the way. That covers the awning. You have your water pump underneath your level sensors. When anything illuminated blue means that it has power. So right now our lights have power, and our switch has power for our lights. It saves all the same settings that you had, or whatever dimming settings you had. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the awning lights. And then we're going to go over the Truma hot water heater and the rest of the water heating system. So right here we have our Truma Combi unit control unit. This also loses the time every time you hit the battery disconnect. To operate, you have this rotator dial in the center. You can illuminate it by turning it left and right. To operate, push it once inward. Now we have flashing is our furnace control. To operate that, we push it once. Right now it's to off, to bring up the temperature. You got to make sure we have our propane on. Once our propane is on, we can select our temperature. Once we select it, push it again. You'll see this little flame illuminate on this, indicating that the furnace is running. Then to use our water heater, we make sure that our water system is primed. Right now I turned on the water pump, so you could do this either by turning on the water pump and using your fresh tank, or you could use your city fixtures. So right now I'm using the water pump to bring this through. It's normal to have a little bit of flashing going on with the lights as it's using 12 volts. So I'm going to turn on the hot side, make sure that all the air bubbles are out of the hot side, which they are. Then I'm going to go over to the thermostat with the little squiggly lines. That is our hot water heater control. I'll push the button in once to get this screen. So we have off, we have eco, which turns on only when water is demanded. We have hot, we will bring it to 125 degrees, I believe. And then we have boost, which is going to bring that temperature up as fast as possible. So we use all the elements it can. Next to that, we have our source component. So right now it's on propane. I can tell by that tank there. Then mix 1 uses 1 electric probe and propane. Mix 2 uses the propane and 2 electric elements inside the unit. Or we can have it on just straight electric, which will use 1 electric part or 2 electric probes at the same time. Once we've made our selection, like any other part in the unit here, we're going to push the button inward, selecting it. Now that you can see we have the selection, it has gas tank there and 2 lightning bolts, indicating that my selection has held. Next to that, we have our fan speed for the furnace. We have eco, and then we have high fan. I'm going to turn off this here since we don't need the furnace on, since it's like 100 degrees in here. Now that it's off, I'm going to push it again to indicate that it's off. As you can see, that has stopped having a flame up there, indicating that it is off. To set your time, we're going to go down to the little clock here. I'm going to rotate this until that clock is flashing down here, indicating that that is the selected part. I'm going to input it. And now I'm going to set it to
6:32.
6:32. There we are. Now the time has changed. So if I push the out button, this is the home screen or the standby screen. So I can see the time there. And then after a certain amount of time, the screen here will stop being backlit. Now, motion lights is going to be your lights inside your cabinets here. Like so. Ground effects is the lights underneath the steps, as you can see there. You want to go down there and do that?
Say it.
It's underneath the
Alright.
one next to that we kind of went over in the beginning is the Wi-Fi. So that gives power to the Wi-Fi. The way we can tell that we have Wi-Fi in the unit is by your lovely tablet you get with this unit. So this is just a regular Android tablet, so you can download any application you'd like onto this. So we hit the settings here, network and internet. So we can see Wi-Fi by clicking on the Wi-Fi here. Now it's going to search for Wi-Fi's, and then what we're going to look for is Wi-Fi Ranger. Netgear 94, that is your Xantrex controller part. That one's probably going to take a little bit since it's already connected to something. So let me do it here. There we go. You can see PVT, which means Private Wi-Fi Ranger Sky 4L. That is the Wi-Fi Ranger of your unit on here. Now that will just take the signals from around the area, which you're going to have to do a little bit more reading on to figure out how to connect to the Wi-Fi Ranger and have that connect to the next point. Now back to this device here. So this is just the home screen. You have your power button up on the right hand corner here. Now you can use this to keep track of your whole system. So your Xantrex system is this little part here. Once you have this up, you click the previous session, which is that one. Now you have all your part here showing that you're connected to 120 volt and your device there. You see we have a loads of 1500 watts, which is our AC system running. You can see your battery voltage and how many watts is going into that. And then we have our generator. So if the generator was running, we could see what the generator output was to our system. So we can see what all of our devices is, which is our one device there, which we can read all of the information here. We have our battery parts, so we can see what our battery system is doing. We can see what our loads are doing throughout the day. We can see what our grid input is throughout the day. We can see what our solar is doing as long as we have our solar switch on. You can see it here, and we can also see it here. And then we can also see what our generator is doing on this unit as well. Now the generator on this unit, I believe, is the underhood generator, which charges the system. And then all the way back to home, which gives us all of our up-to-date stuff. So we can try to keep a good power usage table going on to figure out what our maximum dry camping unit is. Now while we're over in this location here, for that distraction, because I love talking about electronics, we have our microwave, which is a convection conduction oven. So this does the grilling and everything. So you have this little guy here, which you can put upwards or downwards. I'd recommend reading the manual on this one so you can get the best output for the microwave, especially when grilling. Below that, we have our NovaCool refrigerator. Our NovaCool refrigerator has two tabs for both freezer and the fridge. Scratch that, it just has it for the refrigerator section. So we have our locked refrigerator here. Now right now it's warm. Now on a super hot day with our 102 degrees in here, it could take up 24 to 48 hours to cool down the unit as per NovaCool. So we can go ahead and turn that on. Now this has a little line here indicating where our line is for the temperature control. So all the way is 7. Bring that down to 5 is a good starting point to start it up. Now also in this fridge, to put the smaller milk jugs, you can lift up on this here, allowing access to put a milk jug in here, and then you can move this part here downward. Some nice little storage areas. This here has the little blue cover on it, just so this here doesn't get scratched. You can pull that off, or detail will, when this unit gets fully detailed. So if you see any dirt and grime on this, it's just because it hasn't gone through the detail. Then you have your freezer section, which is a double freezer section. So instead of having the part on the top, it's on the bottom. So this is your bottom lock for your freezer. That's why I didn't see it right away. So our freezer has a top cool and a bottom tray area. And your high efficiency ice maker. No one's ever designed this. No, it's an ice maker. You know how to use that. If you look around the cabin, you'll notice these little vents here. You can pull these out to clean them, or you can leave them like such. This is so you can direct the flow for your furnace. That uses off of the Truma system. You have some nice lighted cabinetry. This is with the lights up top here that you have to switch on from the control panel. You have a little soap holder. You have your trash can, and probably put your pots and pans in these drawers here so they don't slide out easily. You have some more drawers going down. You have your sink covered. Nice countertop area. You have all the components for this part here. Since I'm done using this, I'm going to shut this off. So you hold that, press power off, this here will shut down. Also in here you do have another sticker for your Netgear system. And then in the bottom of here you have your charger wire for it, which you can plug into any of the 12-volt outlets inside this unit and it will charge it. And that's in this box here. So in this bag here, we have all the stuff for your Xantrex. We have our microwave manuals, our battery status reader, which is up top here, our management system, which is underneath the part there, some more diagrams for the rest of it. I recommend reading every bit of this whole information as much as possible because, you know, information is dangerous, so you definitely want to learn all this. I'll place this also in here. Now this is your standard Coachmen bag. The standard Coachmen bag has all the other stuff that is equipped in the unit with your radio components, your TV components, your toilet, this max air vent fan, which we'll go over, your Truma system, which definitely read, and the rest of it is in there. Place these over here. Zip that up. Now you have your two remotes. This one's going to be for your TV. This one's going to be for the radio, which I'll show you in a minute. You have a nice little towel cover. This ratchets so that when the wind blows, you don't lose everything. Both of these windows here are pull down style, so if you like to look out while you're doing dishes or cooking, you can do so. You can see our lovely go-kart out there. Now this is a true induction stovetop. So this stovetop requires a magnetic, yeah, I can't speak today because of the heat, a magnetic cotton pan that you can put on this. Normally just grab a magnet while you're at the store, put a magnet to the pan. If the magnet sticks, you can use it on this. You have your power button, and then your temperatures here, your heat and the temperature is going on, and your timer that you can use on that. As long as that's on, you have power to the unit. If these are on, this will be hot. After you're using the pot and pan on this, don't touch the surface, as the surface will still be hot. This here is removable. This is for the fantastic fan right above your head at the bathroom. Push the on button and it will open up. Now if you leave this in storage for a long period of time, I'm just going to use this as an example. This has a nice rubber gasket on it, and this does snugly sit on it. So if you push it and it sticks a little bit, just go ahead and give it a little bit of help, and that will lift that, allowing it to open up freely all the way. Now you can set this with the temperature, so if it hits a certain temperature, it will start pulling all the air out, and you can also put the vent down like such, and it also does have a rain sensor. So if it starts to rain, it will automatically put this down as long as you have power into the coach with the disconnect on. On the passenger side here, we have our lovely, lovely bathroom. This bathroom here, since it's a little tight quarters, I'm going to steal this and just talk about it. So we have our bathroom sink in the corner, our toilet here. This here is kind of hung up right now and knotted. Sorry, I'm going to take this knot out. So when you're showering, you want to make sure that you have this all the way over like such, so everything falls inward, and make sure you have the bottom of this in this drain pan, or you're going to get your full floor all wet. You can also prevent that by putting some rags down. That will help soak up any water that is flowing over. And now I'm going to scale this back. So right now your toilet has a cover on it. Inside of your toilet you have your chemicals, which will probably be in one of your bags. To use your toilet, on the right side of it, you have this little step pad. You can step on this. Stepping on it slightly fills the bowl. To dump it, push all the way down on it, and that will dump it all the way into the tank. Now, talking about the sink, we have our little plug here if you need to plug it up a little bit. This is also your shower, so you go ahead and pull this out. You can put this on this piece up top here above that, and then press in on the back of this. So if you have this on, you set your temperature at this piece here, you put that in, and now you have a shower. And then you can go ahead and push that all the way back in, which I'm using one hand. Like so. You have your soap dispenser, which comes off. I'll read the instructions of that one. I don't want to break that before you get it. You have your water saving system, which will make it super, super hot. To use that, you have your shower, which you can use. You have off. And then you have your diverter, which will divert the water back to keep the hot water going. So I'm going to leave that on shower. You have your magnifying and your regular mirror. Put that on there so you don't. And then down here, I missed that. This is your toilet paper holder. Now this is special because this part here, once you put a toilet roll on that, like so, when you roll it, this part here will roll back, pulling in the excess so it doesn't get wet. Now when you're using the toilet, you can also bring this, push that in the back corner like so, and that will stay there, or you can put it in the knot like we had before. This toilet part has this little section here. Also have a nice towel rack, which is a nice improvement. But you can see this little knob here. To use it when you're using the toilet, give yourself extra space. You can put it like such, so you don't feel so claustrophobic with the doors closed. Where you can have the doors completely closed if you wanted to, like so. And then you have a nice cabinet. This cabinet is also your mirror, and you have a nice drawer right here. One other thing is in here, you can remove these by pushing in these tabs. Now they're really tight. I'm gonna let you play with that, but you can take these shelves out that are pretty difficult to get out, and then use this as a regular hanging wardrobe, as you have the hanging rail up top. And they're fully adjustable up and down, so if you want to make a bunch of little shelves, you can. Now, next to that, we have our radio. Our radio works off of that little remote. And then can I get the TV remote too? So you can use this here. Since it's a small confined space, it's really best just to use your hands. So you got your radio here, which right now we're inside a compartment, so we're not going to get that good of channels. There we go, FM. So you can change your mode once you select it. Push that. That will give you your channel. You can use this to go through the channels. Can't even get a really good channel in here. You can also lift this up to get to the back of it. And yes, this is plugged in. Okay, good. So if you wanted to move this one way or the other, you can to give yourself a little bit more space. But I'll leave it in the center for you. Once the demo's over, I'll pull this out slightly just so you can see that it does get channeled. You also have this pair button for your Bluetooth. You can press pair. No connected device. Pair devices none. Just hold that down. You'll see the pairing come up. Once you have that done, you go to your Bluetooth on your phone. Search for devices. Now you're going to see this JWM72A. That is your unit. Press that device there. It's going to go through its search stuff. It's going to say connected on there. Right now I got my stuff paused. So once you pull up your music application, just go ahead and press play. Once you press play, make sure your volume is up on your piece. So now you have a speaker here, a speaker here. Those are your only speakers for. And then you can adjust your part here. So if I hit zones, if you get a little confused there. Zone A is going to be the only zone that works on the unit, since there's no outside speakers. I'm going to hit pause. And I'm going to get rid of that so that I'm not connected to your stuff. There we go. Now we're back to no device connected. This also does your DVDs, no Blu-ray. Absolutely no. Because those will get stuck in this. Only DVD. That will play through this TV here. Now we can use this remote here to turn it on. You can even sit up in the front captain's chairs like so. Watch TV all the way up front. And right now we're on bunny ears. That is giving us some channels. Now our bunny ears are located right here. So this is our antenna booster. To not have antenna and use cable, I'm going to go behind the TV here to give you a better view. You have this button here. Undo that. Oh, I gotta go grab that. So the button flew off, which can happen. That's normal. There we go. Lightly press this. So that's on, that's off. And this red cable here in this socket is for the TV. So your TV runs directly off a 12 volt. So you can watch it when you're boondocking as well. So when you want to search for new channels in your system, click settings, scroll over with these arrows to channels, click OK for auto tuning, click yes, and this will proceed to go through all the channels that it can pick up in your general area. And then to put this back, large side first, then your little side. Press firmly back, and that will be in place. Use pull on this to release. There we go. I'm going to let you do your channels when you get there, so I'm just going to stop it and turn that off. Now, the other things you'll notice is all these here are the same style. Then you have these. These are your window openings. Now you want to make sure these are firmly closed when going down the road, or you're going to get a lot of wind noise, and it could potentially pull these off your unit. I have replaced these windows a couple times on a few customers' units that are older units. So make sure you leave these tightly and firmly closed when going down the road. You do have little pull-out cup holders on either side of the couch, like so. So if you got those 44-gallon gulp cups, it definitely can hold that big bad boy for you. Folds down and then folds up. Now, on the opposite side, you have another control center, which is the right there, same as the front. Next to that, you have your charging center. Underneath that little piece, you have a 12-volt socket, just like a regular car socket. Next to that is your power inverter. So when you're not hooked up to 120, just go ahead and push that button. Push that button. There you go. Now you can see the green light is on. You can let go. Now that is using power from your inverter. So your inverter's taking 12 volts into 120 volts, making 120 at all your sockets. So you can either charge your laptops or use them. Alright, so you can push that again since we're plugged in. There we go. That is the off position. Now above me on these seats here, you're kind of probably wondering what these are. Slightly push on the taps here, and now you have a hanger rack for your shirts and such, if you're a business traveler. Now we're all the way at the rear of the coach again, so if you needed to easily be private, you can bring that down. And once you put the bed down, you can even put it down farther, or you can leave it up slightly so the sun hits you and helps you wake up in the morning, which I definitely need. You'll notice that there is little lights here. These lights are the lights from the original chassis, which will turn on when you open up the door. Like such. And then they'll shut off eventually. There we go. I'm just going to push a button to shortchange it so it doesn't turn off and on. There is a pass-through right in this corner here. So if you have something that you want to put in this compartment to charge over the time, you can put it in and have it come through this little hole right here. And then you can plug it in the outlet, or the same with the USB. Now, right above me here, this is your smoke alarm. And this is your AC unit here. This AC unit has the filter, which you turn these little knobs. And then this is your filter. You can just dry wash this. And under here you have fuses for your AC as well. And this is your intake, so you don't have to worry too much about what's going on. Then press these firmly back up in place. Like that. And then you just have storage all the way down this whole side. Until that front compartment there. And then give me a moment and I'm going to flip the front seats and then we'll go over the chassis aspect of the unit. So on our chassis side here, I've already undone the hood, which I'll show you where to undo the hood and release it. On the passenger side of this bump, we have our latch right here. And if you lift it up, our hood strap is over on the passenger side that holds that up. So we have our coolant, our washer fluid here, our brake fluid. Here, I'll grab this from you. This is where we fill our oil. This does not have a manual dipstick because you can check it on the dash. This guy over here, this is our charging unit for our Belmar system, which is our under the hood generator. Always just keep an eye out on our belts, which are just down in this location. Just make sure we're good and contacted. This here, you don't want to put any water down. This is where our air common filter air section goes into the inside. This here is our chassis air box, our jump. So if we ever have to jump this, you can push this in, rotate inward to put your positive lead. Then on the right hand side, can you move your hand? You have this golden piece. This here is your negative. So you can put your negative jump on that. That's it for under the hood here. And then I'm just gonna put this down so you don't get any lights on the dash with the hood open. Oh, to fill the DEF is here on the left hand side. Just go ahead and undo this. You can put the hose that comes with the can that comes with it, and then you can fill that up. You need that to run your unit as it's an emission controlled device, which is your diesel emissions fuel. That's what DEF stands for.
How often do you fill that?
That is a good question. How often do you fill it is a good question. It really depends on how long you drive. It could vary between traffic and such. I've had people go 3,000 miles, and I've had people go 6,000 miles. It depends on if you're in a city or if you're on highway. It can vary. So it's always good to keep 1 gallon jug with you at all times so that it doesn't go into lift mode, not allowing you to go over 45 miles per hour. So it's definitely make sure you have that. You also want to check your tire pressures. You can do that from inside the coach, which I'll show you in just a few moments. Alright, so from the driver's storage aspect, we have our diesel fuel here. Just so you remember that it's diesel, not gas. So definitely do not put gas in this as you mess things up. And it's very costly. So it's just like your regular. You can get diesel out this way at what we call Wawa, but there's Sheets and other places that are now carrying diesel, which is now better. This little box here, this is going to have all your Mercedes chassis components in it. So if you have any, you want to read over any of your things, it's going to have all this in it. On our door here, we have our memory for our settings, 1, 2, and 3. This is for your profiles, so it redoes your seat to that position. I'll have the key right here on me. This is so you can do your front, back, and forward. Move your seat forward and backwards. You can move your seat upward and tilt the back or tilt the front. Bring it all the way down. Bring that forward. This is your heated seats. You have your door unlocked, your door locks, your windows, which are automatic, and your mirror controls for left and right. And then to the right here, this is where your hood latch is. That undoes your hood latch if you pull down. Underneath the dash here, this is auxiliary start. So you must have your house batteries on. You can hold this. This will bring power from your house batteries to your chassis if your chassis battery was to be drained. Underneath this little panel here, there is going to be a ground pole. You can check that out on Mercedes chassis for the vans here. You can disconnect that if you're going to have this in long storage. As to the under the floor battery here is also an AGM, so any little load on that can bring that down. And then meet you inside at the dash. All right, now you can see that the AC is still running, and you can see the sound difference in the video, I'm pretty sure. So it's pretty loud on the exterior, but super quiet on the interior. So now this key here has a home location that is right here in the center of the dash at the lower position. Now I'm going to put my foot on the brake, hold the start button, and it's going to start. Now it could wait a while until the glow plugs warm up during the winter, so it could be a pretty long hold on that during the winter. Now it's 100 degrees out, has no problem starting at all, being that it's a diesel. And these are actually fairly quick on starting in super cold weather as well, so it's not really a problem at all. So let's go over the system. So we have our steering wheel. On the steering wheel here, we have an upshift and a downshift on the unit. We have our gear selector here. To put it in gear, push down on the brakes, and then you can push down for drive. Once you're in drive, you can select D1 by pushing down on the negative and go up through the gears as needed when driving. And then once you go all the way through past 6, it goes back to drive. To put it in neutral, just go up once. It'll give you a warning for rolling. Once more for reverse, which will also turn on your backup camera. With your backup camera, you can see what your sensors are sensing. So right now I got the garage door down partially, and it's showing that it has something in front of it. It does audible warnings when in drive. You can turn that off by pushing that little button there so it's not yelling at you. You can change your field of view to a wider angle, to a hitching angle so it's more downward, or just your standard back up. Now I can push park again in the end of the stick here. That puts it in park, so I can release my foot off the gas. Off the brake, because if we was hitting the gas, it would be through this door. On the left-hand side here, we have our turn signals for our left and right. We push forward for our high beams. I can pull back just to flash someone to tell them to turn off their high beams, which is my favorite thing to do while driving at night. Also, on the left-hand end of it, we can turn this for our delay for our wipers all the way forward for fast. Push in the end of that side, which will give you your window washers. Now we should go over the controls on the end here. So you have all your controls here. So to use that, we got to make sure we have our sound system on. You can push that on by pushing this button here. That indicates that here. I'm just going to push mute to save us some sound. We have our volume also in the center here. So our volume is also on the steering wheel, which is right here, which you can scroll up for volume. You can use this to scroll through the channels, left and right, but you can also scroll through the channels by dragging on the screen left and right. Then we have our home button, which gives us all of our options, which we can use on the steering wheel here. Right here, the little house gives us our home. Also, we can use this area here to give us our devices through the home physically, and our vehicle controls to go through our stations as well. And this here is back to home. So at home, we have our phone, which you can pair by pushing this pair here. Connect devices, look for that, make sure it's connected to the same, and then go through again with your phone. You have your navigation. You can set a home address at that, or you can pick a destination. So for PA, you can pick a different location by pushing the little PA section. So if I wanted to just start typing it, it gives us our location. And give us locations. And then I can pick a Clearwater Beach. Once I pick a location like that, push navigate.
The route is being calculated.
It'll calculate our
Please
route.
proceed to the highlighted
After it's
route.
calculated our route, we just proceed to the route. If we wanted to check out which way we're going, we can scroll out like such, and then move around like such, which is, well, it'll take us all the way through Washington, everything, and all the way down 95, which is awesome. And we can see even how big it is comparably for our destination. And then to go back
the
to
route
it,
includes toll roads.
we just push out there. That brings us in, and then we can scroll back in all the way. And now it will have each little dot to tell us where our little things are. Once that's done, we can pick another alternative routes at there, route over stuff, position, route list. That will give everything. And we can also set waypoints if we are trying to make a full-on road trip. And then again, we just need to make other things there. You can also do gas and everything on that. Now to cancel navigation, you have this here. Click on that there. Click that. And then push the garbage. And then you're done to navigation. And then you can click yes, and now we're back to no route selected. You can also push out there to stop it as well. Now the where to area is looking for points of interest. So you have like a gas station, so it'll give a list of gas stations by libraries, Luke Oil, and everything. So that's in your general vicinity of where you're at. Then you have your settings. You can pick up parking, highway information on there, and then advanced gives you all your map orientation. So you have your auto zoom, so it will zoom you in on that. North up or 2D heading, so you can see which way you're driving. You also have 3D, which you can use, so you can see what's going to be ahead. Map elements, so you can, I like satellite maps, so it just shows you all your stuff that's around. Your delays, it shows traffic instance and free-flowing traffic normally. Text information, so you can see all the next intersection streets, current street, coordinates, and all that you can set up. And then it tells you your map version after it loads. You can set up your announcements and all that by selecting over like so, and your route information for fastest eco, dynamic, avoid options. So if you want to avoid tunnels and unpaved roads, especially with this bad boy, tunnels, I believe you can't go through with the LP tank. And then you can avoid areas if you want by doing so. And then suggest alternative routes to help you out. And fastest, short, and economy means fuel mileage. I'll let you set up that. I'll definitely read all the stuff through Mercedes. Now if we go to radio, we have a radio there. We have HD radio here. We have sound off and sound on. Then we can do emergency warnings here as well if they come up. You can pick up a station if you know the station frequencies or the name of the station. Then you have your settings for your sound settings, for your volume settings, your balance. And then we have push it again for media, so you can do your Bluetooth or your USB. So the USB would be up in this location here, so you push on that. So you have your USB locations here, and then you have a 12-volt outlet next to it. Sorry. Right there. These are USB-C, so you need to get a USB-C to regular USB, so you can plug in your phone, or if you have that readily available adapter, you can use that. You have cup holders up on top. Some more safety information. I'm going to go home on that. And then you have info. Info gives you all your engine components, your performance. If I hit the throttle, you can see the torque it makes, the performance it's going, and the voltage it's using. You have your consumption tables here, which you can set through all your stuff. You have your operator's manual, which will use the data through the system and go through the internet part. Now on this unit here, if you wanted to, you could say, "Hey Mercedes." Oh, I guess this one's, there we go.
Please repeat.
Let's try this again. "Hey Mercedes." So this one's not voice operated, so you have this part here, which you can push up on the little hand part. Navigation. And say such things as navigation, and it'll bring up navigation for you. You also have favorites, so if you have all your favorites, you can put all the type of things in this area. You can create a favorite. Then you have your phone pick up and hang up, so if your phone rings, you can use that from your steering wheel. You can also scroll through, and then you have your vehicle settings, so you can set up your lane departure, your park assist from this location here. You can navigate through the unit through your steering wheel for your traffic signs, active brake assist, and everything. But definitely read your manual on all this. Below that, there we have our temperature control for air conditioner. So right now it's really hot out, so I'm going to set that. Our air conditioner buttons here. When it's illuminated, it's operating. We have our fan directions. We have our 4 ways. We have our defrosters, we have our recirculation, and rear defrosters, which no longer has since it's a modified bus. In the center here, this is our door control, so it will automatically open up the side door while it's flashing, means it's operating. Now that it's open, it has the red light constant on. I'm going to push that again. Now it's flashing, meaning it's operating again. Once it's done operating, the light will go black, meaning that it's completed its cycle. Now, we have these vents throughout the coach on the front dash. When they're sideways, they're open. When they're closed, they're up and down. We have these little pockets going on. Now we have our left-hand controls on the steering wheel. Let me get that from you. We have our cruise control. Once we want this on, we can hit on and off. That will give our, there we go, it's up here. Up above here is indicating that it's on. When it's not there, it's off. We can set like so. So it will show us our miles per hour down in this location here. So right now it says nothing because we're not moving. And then we can bring it back. We have our lane assist, which is that one. Our parking sensors right there. We have our resume and our cancel. This is for our how many car lengths for auto braking. And then we have up, so farther away or closer. There we go. Now we have our home part here. So we can use this little BlackBerry piece to navigate. So we can read our trip information, drive assist, our services. We can see our messages, our DEF levels. As you can see, it's full. Our assistant plus, so we can see how many days we have until service. Our engine level, which we need to have off. And I believe the same with the particulate. Nope. So it's at 66%. It's being used right now. We have 0 messages. We have our drive assist controls here, which you can see up on the dash there, braking system. So for the attention, our trip information, so how many miles we got, our current consumption, our acceleration, coasting, and consistent driving, so we can get better fuel economy, our from start used, our from reset used, and our miles per hour. Then we have our navigation, so it will tell us our southwest, and this will also give our lane stuff to look up. So like if it says turn left up ahead, it's going to tell us what the road name is and everything there. Then we can have our radio up here so we can see what channels we're on and scroll through. Then we have our media, so if we had a Bluetooth media, it will show us what we got going on, same with USB. We have our phone, which will tell us our phone log and everything like that. And then we have our settings, so we can do our display for rain sensors.
No results found. What can I do for you? What would you like to do?
Then we have display operation, so DF for reserve fuel permanent, so we can set that up there. There we go. Now we have that on. Now you won't even have to bother figuring out how much DEF. So once you start going dark, here, that's when you know to add it. And now it's finally wanting to work. So if I go, hey Mercedes,
How may I help you?
you can ask her to turn on the radio.
Please say the name of the radio station.
B101.
Please repeat.
B101.
Select a station by saying the name of the desired station.
102.1.
102.1. As you can see, it's still just like an iPhone, so sometimes it doesn't understand what you're trying to say. So it's always best to just manually do it. Let's see what our options is. Here, let's try that. I'm gonna go to a random channel. Hey Mercedes,
How may I help you?
play Y102.
What would you like to do?
Radio channel Y102. This is your auto for your lights. Headlights on here. And this is your marker lights. And this one here is your fog lights. This here does the dimming for your dash. Alright, so on this controller here, you can also use to open and close the door by pushing this here. Since we're inside, it's not going to like me today. But let's say in the event of a crash or loss of power, you do have this here. This flat section is the indication of where you're at. Right now it's on auto. Now I turn it to manual, so I can go ahead and push this. Hold down on the button. That will manually allow you to escape the vehicle. Now it's locked back in place. I've turned that to auto. And then I can go ahead and push this red button here. Flashes and opens up the door. Now I'm going to exit the vehicle. Now that I'm exited, and let's say I'm walking away with a cart or something and I want to close the door, all I have to do is push this and then it will close the door.